Good morning. Welcome to Session 7, titled, Why God? Stories to Inspire Faith, by Father Richard Leonard, on this beautiful Sunday of our 2024 Religious Education Congress. I am Margaret Traxler. St. Monica's is my parish, and I am the Liturgy and Prayer Friday and Saturday Day Coordinator for Congress. As always, please take a moment to silence your phone. Also, there should be no audio or video recording of the workshop today. Thank you. Don't forget to build a mosaic of love by sharing your experience of Christ's love at Congress. Stop by the arena lobby and contribute to our mosaic anytime before this afternoon. Share your or you can share your contribution digitally at #BeLoved. Let us take a moment to silence ourselves for prayer. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit, gracious God, you have called us together to claim the new life that you have given us in Christ, to strengthen our faith and equip us for service. Come to us in your divinity, meet us in our humanity, and help us to be the beloved children you created us to be. We ask this through Jesus Christ, who lives and reigns with you and the Holy Spirit in heaven, on earth, and here in our midst. Amen. Father Richard Leonard is a Jesuit of the Australia province, currently serving as pastor of Our Lady of the Way Parish in North Sydney. He is also a sought-after commentator and lecturer on faith and culture, writing for numerous media outlets and speaking worldwide. Father Richard has authored 13 books, and his most recent, Why God? Stories to Inspire Faith, was released just this month by Paulus Press. Father Richard has served as a visiting scholar at the UCLA School of Theater, Film, and Television, as well as a visiting professor at the Pontifical Gregorian University in Rome. He has also served on the jury of numerous international film festivals, including Cannes and Venice, and he directed the Australian Catholic Office for Film and Broadcasting for 22 years. Father Richard holds degrees in the arts, education, and theology, including a master's in fine arts from the London Film School and a PhD in cinema studies from the University of Melbourne. We are so excited to have Father Richard Leonard here for his 20th appearance at the Religious Education Congress. So let's give him a big welcome all the way from down under.
Thank you. Well, it's great to be back. 20 years. I was young and less wrinkled and less grey, but it was, in fact, I made my debut at the Congress in the arena, which Sister Edith said, you'll be fine. I didn't even know what the arena was, but here I am, back 20 years later. I want to talk to you about this book that I've written, because it's a book which I hope will give you faith, hope, and love. It will encourage you and keep you on the journey. Also, I hope that it's going to be good for our students, the people for which we preach to, not necessarily because you'll share these stories with them, but also because they'll inspire your stories and their stories. The book itself is it's divided up into church, liturgy and sacrament, society, faith, and discipleship. And I want to just get straight to it because there are some wonderful stories in here, at least I think they're wonderful, and I hope that you will find them so too. It's all based on the fact that Jesus said, without a parable, he told them nothing. That's not literally true. We know that in the Synoptic Gospels, in Mark, Matthew, and Luke, Jesus told them lots of things without a parable. But the importance of a story to remind us of God's individual and personal love for us and for the people of God is indisputable. So I want to just share a couple of these stories, a couple of these modern parables, so that you might get a flavor. And also that right here and now, with or without the book, that's not as important as right now, we might be inspired with faith, hope, and love. Given that we have started our Lenten journey, let me tell you a story about the pilgrimage of faith. Pilgrimages have been very ancient in the church, and St. Augustine described Lent as a pilgrimage of hope. In the 6th century, he calls it a pilgrimage of hope. Well, let me tell you a story about when I was actually on pilgrimage during Lent. In the second year of the Jesuit novitiate, the Jesuit novices in Australia are dropped 125 miles from our first house in Australia, which is at Seven Hill in South Australia, north of Adelaide, in the middle of our country. And Seven Hill is to this day a parish, it's a retreat house, and thank God it's a winery. And with it's in fact a very good winery. With a backpack on our back and enough money for an emergency phone call, you have to walk the whole 125 miles begging every single day for your food and accommodation. In the pursuit of board and lodging, you can't tell anybody who you are or what you're doing. You can't trade off being a Jesuit. But we were told that if we got into somebody's house, we might tell them who we are and what we're doing, just so they wouldn't be anxious they'd invited Jack the Ripper to stay the night. But if in the first instance, when you were a nobody with nothing, they offered you the garage and a sandwich, and now they find out you're a Jesuit novice, now they want to offer you the dining room table and the guest room, we were told you can't get an upgrade from coach to first class. You have to take the first offer, whatever it is. Those 10 days were the only time in my life I've known anything like hunger, even in these most contrived of settings. If I knocked on your door this afternoon and you didn't know who I was or what I was doing, and I asked you, could I stay with you tonight, would you let me stay in your house? A couple of people are saying, yes, where were you when I most needed you? You should emigrate to Australia immediately. I stayed in hostels run by the St. Vincent de Paul for homeless men. I broke into a broken down schoolhouse on the side of the road. I camped out in a bandstand in a park, and I slept out under the stars. On day 6 of the 10 days of this pilgrimage, I arrived in the teeming rain into a town in rural South Australia, and I was drawn by the big blue cross that hung over what I was soon to discover was to be the Catholic Church. There was nothing in the rules that said you couldn't beg from churches. You just can't tell them who you are or what you're doing. So I walked up the steps of the rectory next to what was the Catholic Church, as it worked out, and I met one of the most marvelous priests, one of the best priests I have ever met in my life. I gave out my spiel, and then I said to him, Father, I'm wondering whether you can put me in touch with the local St. Vincent de Paul Society. To which he looked up and he said in his wonderful Irish brogue, you're looking at the local Vincent de Paul Society. And I said, well, Father, I'm wondering if you can help me. I'll do something for you. He said, there's a schoolroom behind the church and we don't use it very much. And there's a bunk bed and a shower and a toilet, and I'll give you blankets and a towel, and I'll give you $5 for the cafe in the main street for dinner tonight, and $5 for breakfast in the morning. And then you've got to be on your way. Is that a deal? This was the best deal I had in 6 days. But because strictly he didn't let me into his house, I didn't tell him who I was or what I was doing. I left town the next morning after breakfast. On the second last day of the pilgrimage, it was a Saturday, I arrived in a small little town in Australia called Riverton, and it was late afternoon and my options were running out quickly. I went to the biggest, poshest house in town, and on her doorstep at about 5:30 on a cold day, I met the extraordinary Mrs. Mary Byrne. She grilled me about who I was, where I was from, how I came to be in such need. I never told a lie. But being a good Jesuit, I didn't tell the whole truth either. And after the interrogation, she plucked herself up to her full 4'10" and said to me in her very broad Australian accent, "All right, I reckon I can trust you." She was Mrs. Crocodile Dundee as far as I could work out. "You can come in, and I've got all the kids coming over for one of my baked dinners tonight. You can come in and have dinner with us, and then you can stay in the guest room. You stink to high heaven, you need a shower, and I'll give you breakfast in the morning, then you've got to clear out. Okay?" Okay. First time now I'm in someone's home. So I told her I was a Jesuit novice on spiritual pilgrimage this Lent to Seven Hill. She changed completely. She said, "Get out of here." And for a moment I thought she meant I had to get out of there. And then she changed again and she said, "You haven't been sent out as a spy, have you?" And I said, "Why would you think I've been sent out as a spy?" And she said, "Well, I'm a Catholic, aren't I? And I go to the local Sacred Heart Catholic Church. I've always grown up in a Jesuit parish. They come from Seven Hill and look after us, and they've been doing it all my life." And I thought they're always going on about a faith that does justice and caring for the poor and loving as Christ loves. And I thought you lot must have been placed all over the parish this last week to spy on us to see whether we're practicing what they preach. Now, that's a tough old parish, isn't it? They send out midweek spies to see if you're listening to the homily on Sunday. I brought that into North Sydney. Everybody is loving it. It's a treat. I assured her I was not a spy, Jesuit or otherwise, and complimented her on her extraordinary generosity. And I had a wonderful night with all of her family. There were 17 for dinner. I was number 17. But after breakfast, I cleared out as I had been instructed. When I'm on the last day of the pilgrimage, Sunday, day 10, and I got to a little town called Watervale, population 400. And everybody on that Sunday afternoon was off watching or playing the local football competition. I discovered that later. There seemed to be no one in town except one woman on the rise out of town. I could see her weeding her front garden beds. She was my only option. I walked up that hill and walked into her garden. And I said to her, "Hello, I'm Richard Leonard. I'm going through to the Clare district to get work on one of the wineries to get my passage back to Sydney. I have nowhere to stay tonight and nothing to eat, and I'm wondering whether you can help me with either or both." To which she looked up and she said, "Are you the Jesuit who stayed with Mary Byrne last night?" I said, "I am." She said, "Oh yes, she gave me a ring this morning and said to keep a good eye for you out on the road. That's why I'm doing my front garden beds, not the back garden beds as I had been intending." And that night, the Byrne family came down and joined the Brisky family, and we had another long and liquid dinner in the Riesling Valley of Australia. Going out to the world was looking pretty good. When I got to Seven Hill the next day, I immediately sat down and wrote to that magnificent priest who'd been so kind to me when I desperately needed someone to look after me. And I said, "Father, you didn't know it, but a few nights ago you looked after a young man, and I'm a Jesuit novice. And please God, one day, if I'm ordained a Catholic priest, I hope I will be as good to somebody else as you were to me. You were the face of Christ when I most needed it." When I got back to the novitiate in Sydney, there was a letter waiting for me from the priest. This is what it said. "I was educated by the Jesuits for my entire education in Limerick and Ireland. I hated every single minute of it. If I'd known who you were and what you're about, if I'd known you're a Jesuit, I would have happily kicked your backside and told you to get out of town. But even now, you crafty Jesuits have tracked me down in the middle of rural South Australia and pulled the wool over my eyes one more time. When will I ever be rid of you lot? But on this occasion, I think I can let myself off the hook just a little bit, because I knew there was something a bit different about you. Because you are, without question, the most articulate, well-spoken beggar I've ever met in my life. On that road to Seven Hill, I learnt 3 things about our Lenten journey that have stayed with me for a lifetime. The first is, Lent is all about getting free and staying that way. That sometimes the Lenten journey has to be about decluttering. If you're going to go on pilgrimage, travel lightly. The more stuff you have, the harder that journey is going to be. In our head, our heart, and sometimes in our house. We have to declutter. It's an interesting way to look at Lent. We're decluttering our head and our heart, our spirit, so that we might make room for God. Doing good for others. I was utterly dependent on people's goodness on that road. And I have never prayed the Lord's Prayer more fervently than at any other moment in my life. Give us this day our daily bread. That wasn't an idea on those 10 days. I needed to know that I'd get daily bread. So Lent, I conclude in Why God, is creating the space of God, of finding God, as well as allowing God to find us. Ash Wednesday confronts us with our death. You are dust, and to dust you shall return. None of us is getting out of life alive. Isn't this a happy workshop so far? We are all going to die. That's a given. But among the hardest thing that a Catholic priest does is to bury a member of his family. And while by law or custom other members of other professions are discouraged, or sometimes it's illegal for them to look after their own family, a priest is expected to bury their own, to minister their family, especially at funerals. And on the whole, we want to. Baptisms are a joy, weddings are a joy, funerals can be tough gigs. I had to bury, a couple of years ago, my sister at the age of 56, that Tracy. I've done many tragic funerals, the deaths of children, the victims of suicide, of car accidents, murders among them. But Tracy's Requiem Mass was one of the most demanding of all liturgies that I've ever done. I've acted as the family priest on other occasions, but here I was, not only the presider at this Eucharist, giving thanks for a wonderful life, but as a grieving brother. There are deacons and priests and maybe ministers of other denominations here who know exactly what I'm talking about. Tracy's life was more complex than most. After graduating as a nurse in 1981, she got on a plane and went straight to Calcutta to work with Mother Teresa in the House of the Dying. And there she is. She's with the patient in the blue. There's Mother Teresa in the middle and Sister Luke. After 3.5 years with Mother Teresa in Calcutta, she came back to Australia and got a job with a very remote Aboriginal community in the Northern Territory, right in the desert of our country. And Tracy nursed there for 3 years. But on age 28, on the 23rd of October 1988, she was involved in an unbelievably freakish accident, and her vehicle rolled off the road, flipped and rolled and rolled and rolled, and bang, right into a tree. All the other people in that vehicle got out without a scratch. My sister was left a quadriplegic. For the next 28 years, she sat in that chair and didn't move anything from her neck down. She went all over God's world looking after the poor, and that day she became the poorest person I knew. I discovered that poverty doesn't have that much to do with money. Whether in or outside of that wheelchair, Tracy continued to minister people. In fact, she wrote her own book called The Full Catastrophe, which Paulus Press published here in the United States as well. And how did she write it? Through voice-activated computer. And she told the story of being with Mother Teresa in Calcutta and then back with our Indigenous brothers and sisters in Australia. And then she finishes with the accident. My mother didn't read a single version of that book until it was finished. Mum would want her daughter coming out of every single story absolutely on top, smelling like a rose on every occasion. That wasn't quite my sister. She was a fairly tough and wonderful person, very robust and very strong woman. But my mother read the very final version of the book when it was finished. And Tracy tells the story that Mum came out and said to her, "Tracy, I've just finished the full catastrophe. Here was I thinking you were a saint working with Mother Teresa in Calcutta, and now I've read your book and I've discovered you're a saint by day and an alcoholic by night." So she's not a goody two-shoes, but 28 years she was abled and 28 years she was disabled. She moved nothing from her neck down for 28 years. And whether she was in that chair or out of it, she was comforting the sick, campaigning for justice, defending the innocent. And Tracy had every right to be the angriest person you would ever want to meet. She had the right to. She'd been an incredibly generous person. She had responded to her Christian vocation by serving the poor, and through the freakish nature of an accident, she lost everything. Thank God her mind was fine, but the body was gone. There were lots of discussions over the years about her funeral. The first one she used to say is, I want you to cremate me quickly, just like the Hindus do in India. I told her that was illegal in Australia. She said, how about having 25 people in our backyard and you can have some prayers if you like? I said, that's illegal too. We can't bury you in the backyard. And her final instruction was, I don't care what you do, just don't go over the top. I'm not sure a Requiem Mass with 2 bishops, 18 priests and 500 people qualifies as low-key. But we did our best to keep it simple. We had the private cremation of her body that she asked for and the long and wonderful wake that she desperately wanted for the 500 people who came to her funeral. These sacred and secular rituals were deeply consoling for everyone. I lost the plot twice during her Requiem Mass. The first time was when my brother, 4 years older than me, 3 years old, 1 year older than Tracy, thanked our then 84-year-old mother for devoutly caring for our sister over 3 decades. It was so moving to hear my brother give the public tribute to my mother. My mother cared for her so wonderfully for 27 of those 28 years at home. And I came off the rails again at the very end of my homily, when I had decided to adapt the most famous lines from one of Tracy's favourite secular, indeed sacred saints really, and one of your great national heroes, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Because I told the congregation at the end of my homily that I could just see that Tracy has now, with the cloud of witnesses in heaven, and as she wheeled through the pearly gates, one of her great, great heroes, Martin Luther King Jr., comes up to greet her, grabs her by the hand, lifts her out of that damn chair and says, "Free at last, free at last. Thank God Almighty, she's free at last." Saints aren't perfect, they're holy. Saints aren't perfect, they're holy. And we sometimes think saints are perfect. They're not. They're holy. If my sister's not in heaven, I'm not getting there. And ultimately, heaven is about being free, free at last. Thank God Almighty. One of the best lessons about good and evil that I've ever had in my life, again, in Lent, we're told to confront our destructiveness, to confront evil. And the present Pope is very big on talking about confronting evil in our world. Because if you believe in light and goodness and love, you have to believe in darkness and despair and destruction and evil. It just has to be consistent. And the best lesson I ever got was when I was appointed to the parish of St Canice's, which is the parish in the red light district of Sydney, which women in prostitution, boys in prostitution, street kids, runaways, you name it, we had it, drugs, the whole deal. And I was the assistant priest. My pastor was an 80-year-old Irishman called Father Donald Taylor, the last Irish Jesuit ever to work in Australia. And one day, early on in my appointment there, he knocked on the door of my bedroom and he said, there are a couple of fellas in the front parlour who need your particular gifts. And then he walked away. As I entered the parlour, the two men whom I found there said, "Are you the expert?" The old priest said he would go and get us the expert. I knew I'd been set up. Gary and Bradley had just moved into King's Cross. Bradley was a handbag designer. Gary designed women's shoes. With all due respect to my LGBTQI brothers and sisters, these two men were the campest men I had ever met in my entire life. They were wonderful, so stay with me. We've not been able to sleep since we moved into our unit because it's possessed. So we want an expert to come and exercise our home. I would deal with Father Donal later. I calmly explained that sometimes we exercise people, but first we go to psychiatry first these days, but we never exorcise places. I did, however, offer to come and do a house blessing, and I said it was one of our most ancient and rich rituals, and we arranged a date for 4 days hence on the Thursday. "What do we need to do in preparation?" said Gary rather excitedly. I suggested that they buy a cross, a religious icon, which we'd put on the wall, have a bowl of water, which I would go through the house and bless each of the rooms, and have a candle for me to light when we got back from the procession through the house. When I arrived at their unit on Thursday, they had gone all over Sydney, I discovered, and bought every cross and icon they could lay their hands on. And on the long hallway going down to this magnificent view of Sydney Harbour, they had built a wave of icons and crosses. It was absolutely magnificent. When I got into the lounge room, I had a vat of water, and there must have been 50 candles alight in that room at that moment. After I processed through the house, sprinkling each of the rooms, Bradley declared, "You missed a room." And I thought, "I don't think I have." And he said, "The loo, Father, the loo." And I said, well, I wanted to say, I could go back and bless your cistern and you'd be flushing holy water for days, but I didn't. But after I left, they handed me an envelope, and when I got back to the rectory, I counted it. This was 1993. It was $2,000. That was a lot of money then. It's a lot of money now. When I handed it into my superior and pastor, Father Donal, he didn't miss a beat. He looked up. I said, "It's $2,000, Donal." He said, "I told you those were quality fellas." I never saw the money again, not $1 of it. 2 weeks later, they were back in my parlour. I thought my house blessing had failed. And if they wanted their money back, I hadn't seen it, so they weren't going to get it, that's for sure. But they'd rushed in to tell me that their next-door neighbour, Gwen, had arrived home from a 3-month overseas cruise and had come to welcome them to the building. There were only 2 apartments on each level with these spectacular views of Sydney Harbour. Gwen told them that their apartment hadn't sold for a year because of the drug bust that went wrong in the lounge room and the double murder that occurred right where they now live. That violent crime had never been disclosed to Gary and Bradley, which in your country and mine is illegal. Realtors have to tell you that a violent crime has occurred here. That's the law. But they knew something wasn't wrong. So here was I slightly cynical about them. They knew something wasn't right. Talk about the discernment of spirits. They knew about it much better than I did. They knew the spirits were unsettled. They received an out-of-court settlement from their realtor of $90,000. And when I told Father Donal about this development, he observed, "Well, I think the one who drove away the evil spirits should get 10% of the final amount." They did better than that. A week later, those 2 magnificent men donated $90,000 to St. Canis's Soup Kitchen for the Homeless Poor, which we ran out of the church hall, and they became regular parishioners. I have always liked the accuracy. That's St. Canis's, that's the front of the building. And I've always liked the question that we can ask at baptism, and I like the term. I love that when we say in the first question of the baptismal questions, do you reject evil in all its guises and all its empty promises? Isn't that a wonderful thing to say? Do you reject evil in all its guises, all its faces, and all its empty promises. Oh, I don't know about you, but I constantly get tempted to a false promise. And when I think about 36,000 people who will die today of starvation, 60 million refugees in our world, or the dark thoughts that I sometimes have, I know that evil exists. And I know that sometimes the Lord comes to remind you of something incredibly profound in the spiritual world with people whom we sometimes want to dismiss. Gary and Bradley, to this day, remain very close friends of mine, and I am the richer for their faith and their action. By Easter Monday, we'll go back. There it is. We've done that. By Easter Monday, we're going to hear about Mary Magdalene. She'll take centre stage. Mary Magdalene should sue the Catholic Church for defamation. Whatever of her being the apostle to the apostles on Easter Day, since Tertullian, a 3rd century theologian, her name has been synonymous with a woman in prostitution. There isn't a single text in the New Testament that says Mary Magdalene was a woman in prostitution. She's not the other women in the gospel who had a bad reputation in town, or weep at Jesus' feet and wipe their tears away with her hair, or is caught in the very act of adultery, John 8, or pours oil over Jesus' head. Tertullian was the first to put her into a bowl with all the other women and serve them up as one character, but she has in fact had to suffer that indignity ever since. All we know about Mary Magdalene is she came from Magdala, a fishing village at the top of the Sea of Galilee, that she had 7 demons cast out of her. Now 7, the perfect number, and a demon for the New Testament is anything they didn't understand. You could have a cleft foot, you could have a club foot, a cleft palate, you could have epilepsy. Anything they didn't understand, it was a demon. So we don't know what the demons were, and we're certainly not told that they were sexual. There's no suggestion of it. Mind you, the stage performances of Jesus Christ Superstar haven't done Mary's saucy notoriety any favours by giving her one of the great songs in that show. I don't know how to love him. Incredibly, some brides I've had over the years want to sing that at their wedding. Think about it. I don't know how to love him. If you don't, then you shouldn't be here. And think of the rest of that song's chorus. And I've had so many men before. Now we're talking. In very many ways. He's just one more. I don't think that's what we want to say at the nuptial mass, to be honest. But the most important thing that we hear about Mary Magdalene in 3 of the 4 Gospels is she is the first to experience the presence of the risen Christ. She's the first Christian missionary. She is the apostle to the apostles. And 2 details in John's account are especially poignant. The first is we're told that she encountered the risen Lord while weeping outside Jesus' tomb. She felt a double loss on that first Sunday, not only grieving the loss of the one whom she loved, but also for the desecration of his grave, and she thought his corpse had been stolen. Magdalene, I think, is the patron saint of so many things in the Catholic Church right now. But for any of us who have ever stood at any tomb anywhere and wept, boy, do we have a saint at Easter time. Because of Mary's tears and because of her evangelization, we believe that there's not a human being who's not known to God by name, because the other magnificent account is she knows the Lord when called by name. Mary, Rabboni, which means teacher. I love the conference theme, beloved, beloved by name. And it's true that to this day, we are called to be like Magdalene, to go out. Do you know one of the very first titles that she got in the New Testament and in the early church was she was the great witness to the resurrection. For us, the word witness means that we attest to the truth of events from personal experience and knowledge. And personal witness can hardly be exaggerated. When people hear someone's story with integrity, it's wonderful. It can change your life. But it's good for us to know that the word martyr and the word witness for the early church are the same word. So when we talk about the church as martyrs, the word witness is exactly the same word in Greek. Anyone who was brave enough then to witness publicly to the resurrection had to have could run the risk of losing their life. And while we're there in this book, but in another section of it, I talk about godparents. I don't know if you know this, but most people don't, and I'm surprised. Godparents come from the early church where people had to make provision. If we get martyred for the faith, what happens to our children? They can't go back to Nan and Pop on one side, they'd be pagan. They can't go back to Grandma and Grandpa on the other side, they'd be Jewish. So the early Christians needed a mechanism. If we get martyred for the faith, how do our children get raised as Christians in the Christian community? So they asked other people in the Christian community to raise our children as your own. That's where the term godfather and godmother comes from. They took over the raising of the children, the martyrs' children, as their own, and were their mother and father in the faith. That's why it makes no sense to have people who aren't Catholic, aren't Christian. They might be wonderful and great human beings, but when you know its history, they raised the martyrs' kids as their own. Within a generation after Mary Magdalene's evangelization of the earliest men, people went from all over the Mediterranean world, most of whom had never seen Jesus, and they believed. I think it's one of the great arguments for Christianity. Illiterate nobodies from nowhere, fishermen from Galilee in Judea, that wasn't any big claim. Within a generation, had gone all over the then known world, the Roman Empire, and people started to believe in Jesus as well. Something extraordinary was happening. Firstly, their great courage to witness and to put their life on the line. And secondly, that people came to have their own experience of Jesus Christ, and so do we. Mary Magdalene, in her witness to Christ, enables us then to see that it's possible that no matter what the tradition says about you, no matter the terrible lies that are actually said against who you really are, is one of the great messages of Easter faith, hope, and love. Let's go to Pentecost. That's the interior of the church at St. Canice's. St. Canice's is, as I said, the red light district of Sydney. And Pentecost is all about going out on mission to a very complex world. Well, the week I arrived at St. Canice's, then I announced, because my first degree is in music, that I would be refounding the Catholic Church's choir. Anybody who'd like to come and join the choir, please come and see me straight after Mass. And after the 10:30 Mass on Sunday morning, on the sidewalk straight out of the church, up walked a beautifully dressed woman in a midnight blue outfit with a very big hat. She walked up to me and she said, "Excuse me, Father, my name's Gloria, and I'd like to join the choir. I sing bass." I said, "It's very hard to find basses." Now, I want to get clear here. Gloria's story is her own. It's not making another claim on anybody else and their own particular journey with their own gender and their own identification. But it's a stunning story, so stay with me. I said to Gloria, "Well, it's very hard to find basses, Gloria. You'd be very welcome. Come tomorrow night, on Monday night, and we'll come to the very first choir rehearsal." Gloria was, without question, the worst bass I have ever heard in my entire life. The only note that Gloria had, really, was that wonderfully deep note that some basses get at the end of a motet or a hymn. Amen. And it can rip through a church or a hall. It was stunning. Well, on Sunday, our Sundays then became more colourful because Gloria's transvestite friends decided to come to Mass to hear her singing in our choir. And one Sunday, we had one of those big amen moments, and 2 pews of her wonderful transvestite friends jumped up in the middle of the parish and middle of the Sunday Eucharist and yelled out, "You show 'em, girl." Now, I know this will come as a shock to the Catholics here, but not everybody in the parish was coping. And eventually the issue came before the parish council. And just as they were about to vote on whether Gloria could stay in the choir or go, the chairwoman of our parish council said to Father Donal, my pastor, they said, "Father Donal, is there anything you'd like to say before we vote on whether Gloria should stay in the choir or we should ask her to leave?" The petition said she was making a mockery of the Mass and she was a distraction to our prayer. Donal never used to speak at parish council meetings, and I used to find that annoying. And he once said to me, "Look, I don't speak at the parish council except for the opening and closing prayer and the blessing. Because if those people decide to do something that I don't want to do, I won't be doing it anyway." That's not the best model of governance I have ever heard, but that worked for Father Donal, who's now in heaven. Anyway, he piped up, he said, "On this occasion, I have something that I want to say. You know, when our blessed Lord said to his disciples, 'Go out into the highways and the byways and pull in the poor, the crippled, the lame, and the blind,' he wasn't just talking about his own day. So you're saying that the Lord cannot and will not call the glorious of this world to the Holy Eucharist. That's what you're saying effectively. So the Lord must have got it wrong, did he? We don't go out to the highways and the byways and pull in the poor, the crippled, the lame, and the blind. The Lord got that wrong, apparently, around here. Well, I'm telling you this. If you kick that fella out of the choir tonight, then every Jesuit in your precious parish will be packing up and moving out of the parish tomorrow. He goes tonight, we go tomorrow. Now have your little vote." We won the vote. Gloria stayed. But Gloria dropped out of our parish a few months later, and I didn't know why, and I didn't know who it was until a person knocked on my rectory door, and I didn't know who it was until he spoke. And as soon as he spoke, I knew that voice. He said, "G'day, Father, it's Gordon. I've just come back to say goodbye." And a letter arrived from Gordon a couple of months later, and this is what it said. "I just want you to know that last night at home, my wife died peacefully of the breast cancer she's had for the last 18 months. After the undertakers took her away, I put our 2 boys back to bed. I was overwhelmed to think that I wouldn't even be here if it wasn't for the goodness of the Catholic community at King's Cross. I know it wasn't easy for some of you having a drag queen in your parish choir, but you believed in me even when I didn't know who I was, what I wanted, or where I needed to go. Who could have thought that singing at Mass was actually going to play itself out to reconciling a husband to a wife who was such a magnificent model of forgiveness, and to giving back to 2 boys their dad because they deserve nothing to be orphans? I'm not sure, Father Richard, if you remember what we sang that very first time at choir practice when I joined the choir on that Monday night. I don't know if you remember. It was Amazing Grace. Never stop doing that. Never stop preaching that. I'm a witness to its power. And if I've understood it correctly, what you mean by Amazing Grace is it doesn't matter where you start. It matters where Christ will finish it. At Pentecost, we're called to go out and to realize afresh that the signs of God rarely come to us in neat, nice boxes that suit us. It wasn't true of the earliest church, many who died as martyrs. So why should we consider these, the questions we have to deal with in the church and the world, easy as well? But we're going out because we're armed with one thing. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now I'm found. 'Twas was blind, but now I see. It doesn't matter where you start. It matters where Christ will finish it. A couple of times in this book, Why God, I touch on Mary because she comes along regularly. There are 18 universal feasts in the church, and that's the full list of them. There's another slide of them. So we have 18 all up. Now, you have Our Lady of Guadalupe. We have Our Lady Help of Christians. Every national church has their own particular observances in honour of Mary, the Mother of Jesus, and our Mother too. But it's incredible. There are 18 that we must, in the Catholic Church, all celebrate together. And then there are another 6 where Mary is honoured indirectly. Joachim and Anne, Christmas, Epiphany, St. Joseph, Spouse of Mary, the Holy Family, and the Holy Innocents. There are, in fact, and I list these in the book, there are 10 episodes where Mary features in the New Testament. The Annunciation, the Visitation, the Nativity, the presentation of the child Jesus in the temple, the refugee to Egypt, losing of the child Jesus in the temple, where Mary and Jesus' brothers and sisters, we're told, of brothers, goes to bring him home from public ministry. If you think I'm making that up, Mark chapter 3, we never read that publicly at any Mass on weekdays or Sunday. They've left it out. I find that interesting. Cana is my favourite. Do you know, John 2:6, I think it is, it says, standing nearby were 6 water jars that held 20 to 30 gallons of water each. By today's standards, that's 900 bottles of wine. That is a wedding reception I'm going to sometime soon. And it's the best wine in the world. In Australia, it would be Grange Hermitage. It's the best wine that you have kept till last. Quite extraordinary. The Crucifixion and Pentecost. These extraordinary 10 episodes in the New Testament. And of course, they're expressed in the Rosary. And so I write a chapter of this book about the Rosary. And in fact, we have October 7th, the feast of Our Lady of the Rosary. Every time I pray the Rosary, I go back to when I was a little boy and I went to my Uncle Morris's house, which was on what you would say a ranch in outside, in the bush of Australia. And Uncle Morris was the patriarch of the Leonard family. My father was one of 9 children. And the Leonards took Abraham pretty seriously when he said, go forth and multiply. I have 34 first cousins on that side of the family. And Uncle Morris rang every single branch of the family, every beginning of every school holidays, and invited all his nieces and nephews to come and have a holiday on the ranch. And that was some of the best holidays. And I got to know my first cousins very, very well indeed. And we're very close, or many of us are very close to this day. My Uncle Morris and Auntie Claire got married in 1948. And every night until Morris and Claire died a few years ago, they knelt down and said the Rosary. It was exactly at 7:30. The reason I know that is because the ABC, the Australian Broadcasting Commission, Australian version of the BBC, it has the national news at 7 o'clock and it finishes with a fanfare at 7:30. I can remember the fanfare going, Uncle Morris would stand up and go, Rosary, Rosary, throughout this magnificent big homestead, big ranch house that they had. And then the Leonards became the Waltons. We came out from under beds and cupboards and we all came out, and there's only a few of us who know the Waltons and what that means, but that's okay. Thank God for your youth. And we knelt down and said the Rosary. Now, Uncle Morris and Auntie Claire had been saying the Rosary since 1948, and they got into a certain pattern with it. Uncle Morris said, Ham Bingham Sumchum. Now, I assume Hamemingam is among women, and Thy womb Jim is Thy womb Jesus. I assume that's what he's saying. And by the time he got there, by the time he got to Mingham, Auntie Claire used to come in over the top and go, Ho-limamamen, Ho-limamamen. So it used to go, Hamaminga, Hamamama, Hamaminga, Hamamama, Hamaminga, Hamamama, Hamaminga, Hamamama. They were talking in tongues long before the charismatics were. Now, some people would say, well, they weren't saying the Rosary correctly, were they? Yes, they were. If you know the history of the Rosary, the Dominicans, one of the great gifts the Dominicans gave to the whole church was for illiterate people to teach them the stories of Jesus from the Gospels because they couldn't read them for themselves. Then you focused on a mystery or an event, a chapter in Jesus' life. And you had something, had an intention for that decade, and you had a part of Christ's life to work through, to think about. And that's how they passed on the faith to illiterate Europe. It was absolutely brilliant. And they used beads. Every major world religion uses beads. This is stunning, absolutely wonderful. Uncle Morris knew that he said it a bit quickly because every so often you go the second decade for rain. It was always for rain when you're on the ranch, for rain. And then he would say, give it out, Rich. And I would go, Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee. He'd stop you and say, speed it up, will you? So I'd say, Hail Mingamba Sumchum. And you'd have to stay with Auntie Claire. Now, fast forward about 20 years, and I'm going off to become a Jesuit. And my cousin Paul Leonard took me out to dinner to this frightfully posh restaurant in Brisbane, the northern capital where I'm from. And Paul, in the middle of out of nowhere in the conversation, looked at me and went, Hama Mingam Sumchum. And I said, Halamamen. And we went backwards and forwards until our waiter asked us which Eastern Bloc country we originally came from. And I said Kyrgyzstan. I'm not sure why I said Kyrgyzstan, but I did. And then my cousin Paul said, but Uncle Morris had that really stupid prayer where we all hit our chest. And I said, well, that wasn't particularly ridiculous, was it? Oh, he said it was crazy. He said we'd all hit our chest. And of course, this was the litany of the Sacred Heart. And Uncle Morris would hit his chest and say, Sacred Heart of Jesus, have mercy on us. Sacred Heart of Jesus, have mercy on us. Sacred Heart of Jesus, have mercy on us. You did it 3 times, and we still do. And we loved that as boy cousins, because if you had a cousin on either side of you who wasn't hitting his chest with enough fervour, you helped him out. Sacred Heart of Jesus, bang! Have mercy on us. So you got a broken sternum for your trouble. Well, I said it wasn't a particularly ridiculous prayer, was it? And he said, oh, it was ridiculous. Now, I do a very good impersonation of my Uncle Morris's very broad Queensland rancher's accent. Here's how Uncle Morris used to say that. Say it out of Jesus. 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 For 20 years, my cousin Paul thought his uncle was saying g'day to Jesus. And you can actually hear it, can't you? Listen to it again. A 7-year-old boy kneeling up next to the uncle he adored, and he'd hear this. Say it out of Jesus. Say it out of Jesus. Say it out of Jesus. So much so that Paul would not believe me that it was Sacred Heart of Jesus that Uncle Morris was saying. So we had to go back to his apartment and ring Uncle Morris. He had a speakerphone. We didn't have mobile phones in those days. And we had to ring Uncle Morris. And I said, Morris, we've just been talking about the wonderful holidays. Oh, they were the happiest days of Claire and my life. Rich, we loved having all of you. And I said, Claire, we were talking about the rosary. Well, we've just set a decade for your intention, joining the Jesuits. Well done, Rich. I said, thanks, Morris. I said, we were also talking about the litany of the Sacred Heart. Oh, he said, we've just done that too. And I said, Paul thought you were saying something different to what I knew you were saying. And he said, what did you think I was saying, Paulie? And he said, weren't you saying g'day to Jesus? And he said, what? He said, I thought you were saying g'day to Jesus. And he said that you've got to know this uncle and nephew are like father and son. They deeply love each other. And he said there was a lovely pause, and Uncle Morris said, Paul, you've always been an idiot. But Paulie, I love you. Actually, to be honest, if we turn up in the rosary simply to say g'day to Jesus, that's going to do me every single time. The rosary is meant to be about affection, about the family, and being at home with Jesus, Mary, and Joseph. I love the fact that All Saints' Day is followed by All Souls' Day. Saints are closer to us than we sometimes think, and we all want our souls to enjoy eternal life. I want to tell you a story about a person who I think is a living saint. It's actually a contradiction in terms, because it depends on what happens when you die. But my mother, that's a picture of my mother Joan, she has vascular dementia now. Her memory of people and places of long past is not sharp. And her geriatrician said to me recently, your mother's brain cannot make new memories. Can't tell you how helpful I found that she can't make a new memory. So she can't remember I was there an hour ago, she can't remember what she did yesterday. She can remember old ones, they're sharp, but she can't remember new ones. My mother has had more crosses to bear than a few people because her own mother died in childbirth when Mum was 2 years of age. She was only married 8 years when her 36-year-old husband, my father, had a cerebral aneurysm, a massive stroke, and dropped dead. She was a 32-year-old widow with 3 children under 7. I was 2. And when she was 56, she got back her 28-year-old quadriplegic daughter to look after for the next 27 years at home. Mum never remarried. She used to say, I was a catch, but I had the 3 of you, which was meant to be a joke, but I don't think it was completely a joke. And my mother was extraordinary. That's my mother as a nun. My mother was Sister Mary Theresia, and that's her as a novice. And she wanted to get out of being a Sister of Mercy, and she had decided that wasn't truly her vocation. And they put a lot of pressure on her to stay in 1955, and she did stay. And then at the end of that, just before she was to take first vows, her parents turned up for a visiting day. And my mother tells the story that as soon as she saw her mother and father, my grandparents, she knew she was not meant to be in the convent. So she had to have this afternoon tea where the nuns weren't allowed to eat with anybody in those days, only other nuns. So she had to watch her parents have afternoon tea. And then when the bell went for the parents to go from visiting day and the novices were to go to benediction in the chapel, she said to her parents, she'd been plotting this all afternoon, she said, go to the car and wait for me, I've made something for you. They went to their car, she raced upstairs to her room, took off all that regalia and laid it out as instructed. She raced down to the laundry, she grabbed a skirt, a blouse and a scarf for her head. She hadn't been intending to run away from the convent that day. A normal pair of shoes, jumped in the back of the car and said, I'm coming home. All the way, 142 miles from where they were, all the way home, my grandfather apparently kept saying, we're going to hell. We're all going to hell. Oh my God, we're going to hell. Oh my God, you're going to hell and you're taking us with you. Oh my God, we're going to go to hell. And my grandmother, who was the best theologian in that car, said, oh, shut up, Tom. If the girl wasn't happy in religious life, she should leave because she's only going to make other people's lives unhappy by staying. That's good theology. And my grandfather would be silent for a while, and apparently he went back and said, we're going to hell. We're all going to go to hell. My mother looked after my sister Tracy, as I've said, for 27 years. And Mum got up every night at midnight, 3 and 6, and turned her quadriplegic daughter so she wouldn't get a bed sore. She got a special alarm made, or she bought a special alarm that could go off 3 times during the night. And then in the end, she just didn't need it. Midnight, 3 and 6, she got up and looked after her daughter. When I go to see Mum these days, well, she's got worse just recently, so we can't even have this conversation now. But my mother used to say, I know I'm losing my memory and I'm not enjoying any of this. Heaven has to be better than this. So I want you to pray to God that God will take me tonight and take me to heaven. The next day, in an unusual ability to recall a conversation from the day before, my mother looked at me and said, well, your prayers are hopeless. I'm still here. And with gallows humour, I replied, well, they're going to work one day, aren't they? But always having the final word, Mum said, well, I hope God finds me soon. Mum's dementia is now accelerating dramatically, and some of you know what I'm talking about. Because of 3 falls last year, she has to be in care now. The phone is beyond her. Taking her out for meals is now impossible. And in fact, even having a conversation with her about anything is getting harder and harder. She just remembers who I am. Interestingly, she sometimes doesn't remember my name, but she remembers I'm a priest. And she keeps saying, why aren't you doing some work for God? I said, even God lets me come and see my mother. Well, she said, you've done that now, so go and save a few souls. You've got to know my mother to know how true that is. There's a man at my mother's aged care facility who sits in the common room and yells out loudly, "Help me, help me, help me." That's what he does all day long. It is a Greek chorus in a human tragedy. No number of people have lived this long in human history. We're powerless in the face of the ravages of age, and some wait to die. Do you know there's no exclusive patron saint for sufferers of dementia or from Alzheimer's disease. Apparently they share St. Dymphna, and her primary focus being on those who are mentally ill. But St. Anthony of Padua is the patron saint of the elderly because he was particularly kind to old people in the 13th century, as well as helping people find things. And so I think people like my mother and the growing number of us who will be in this state before we die, we need our own patron saint whose only portfolio in heaven is to pray with and for them, their families, and the extraordinarily dedicated people who look after them. A big shout out to people who care for the aged in every way. In the meantime, I hope St. Anthony helps Mum, or helps God find my mother, because as the song says, "My bags are packed, I'm ready to go," and she would go happily. She's 91. She's ready to go. Advent. During Advent one year, a religious sister invited me to be the guest of honour at the local Catholic grade school's nativity play. There were 25 8-year-old children who were to be this year's cast. When I arrived, Sister Mary Tarcisius, didn't the nuns have fabulous names? Sister Mary Tarcisius, wonderful name. She told me that she had trouble with the little boy who was playing the innkeeper. He really wanted to play St. Joseph, but he was an Islamic boy and he came from the projects and he was a refugee boy to Australia from Sierra Leone in Africa. And she said, I really had his heart set on playing St. Joseph, but I really thought I should have a Christian boy playing St. Joseph, so I've made him the innkeeper. I think he'll be okay, but he's not a very happy camper. The whole school was gathered in the hall. All the Year 3 parents were in to watch their children in the nativity play. All the staff was there. The principal was on my right. I was in the middle as the guest of honour. Sister Tarcisius was on my right. The principal was on my left. Everything about the play went quite normally until the moment when Joseph and Mary go up to the little door, the makeshift door we could see either side on the stage. Joseph knocked on the door of the makeshift door, and a little boy said from the other side, the innkeeper said, "Who's there?" "I am Joseph, and this is my wife Mary, and she's having a baby." Having a baby? She was having quintuplets as far as I could work out. It was the biggest tummy on a girl I'd ever seen. And the innkeeper didn't budge. He looked so angry and so defiant. Sister leant forward and said, "Ahmed, darling, come on, open the door, nowhere to stay, manger at the back. Come on, love, very important role. Come on, darling." No, it wouldn't budge. So she said, "Joseph, knock again." We get the story for this, we get the line for the second time. Now, some of you either teach or have had 8-year-olds at home, and you know that then when they're really defiant and angry, they get this little action going. He was like the inside of a Maytag. He's going backwards and forwards and backwards and forwards. It was extraordinary. And Sister leant forward again, and she said, bit of emotional blackmail now, she said, "Ahmed, darling, I saw your mother and father earlier. They're here. They'd be so proud of you, darling. Come on, open the door, nowhere to stay, but we've got the manger at the back. It's very important." And the tension was now rising in that room significantly. And he wouldn't budge, so Sister said to Joseph, "Knock again." We get the speech for the third time, but before Ahmed could decide what to do next, a big voice bellowed from the back of that school hall, "Ahmed, you open that goddamn door, I belt your bum." And I turned around to see the biggest human being I've ever seen in my life. Muhammad, Ahmed's father, was 6'8.5". He weighed 240 pounds. I didn't ask for his weight. I did ask about his height later, but he said, I am 240 pounds, Father. And there wasn't an ounce of fat on this man. He was the most solid human being I've ever seen in my life. And he wore the white and gold kaftan that some Islamic men wear from African cultures with the white hat. He had bright white eyes, bright white teeth, bright white fingernails. He was an extraordinary human being. But now he's walking down the aisle. Boom, boom, boom. And every adult in the room's going, open the door, open the door, open the door. Because your bum belted by that bloke is going to hurt. I'm not advocating child violence in any way, shape or form, I hasten to say. And one of the teachers intercepted Ahmed decided to take his father's advice immediately, thank God. He opened the door, he looked at Mary and said, you can come in. Turned to Joseph and said, but you can go to hell. And with that, Joseph burst into tears. All the kids on the stage started bashing up the innkeeper because he said a rude word. And now there was an almighty fight going on the stage. And you know what was wonderful? All the children in the Catholic grade school audience sat there going, fight, 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 fight. Peace on earth and goodwill to all humanity took a little while to establish at that nativity play. Sister kept saying, this is not the way I rehearsed it. I had to give the final blessing. I got up and I said, Sister, this is the best nativity play I have ever seen in my life. I loved every single minute of it. I thought it was great. Do you know why? Because God's okay with mess. That's the Christmas story. Let me get this right. We've got a 13-year-old girl betrothed to an 18-year-old boy. Don't make Joseph and Mary too old. The normal betrothal age, 12 to 14 for women, 17 to 19 for men. There's nothing in the text to say that wasn't true. Normal ages, we're not told any different. And we know they were the ages for betrothal. She's pregnant. She gets on the donkey on the last, although there isn't actually a donkey in the text, but let's pretend there is, a donkey, and goes off 124 miles. I know nothing about having a baby, but I think that's going to move the whole show along. There's no question about that. And on arrival, they find themselves homeless, and Jesus is born in a cave or a stable where animals are housed. Imagine the smell of it. We've cleaned Christmas up, but God's okay with mess. And that's what I love about our Christmas story. I love the fact that we say, God came into our mess, to my mess, as a defenseless, vulnerable child, and showed us the way, the truth, and the life. And this is my favourite Advent prayer from John Bell of the Iona community in Scotland. Light looked down and saw the darkness, I will go there, said light. Peace looked down and saw war, I will go there, said peace. Love looked down and saw hatred, I will go there, said love. So he, the Lord of light, the Prince of peace, the King of love, came down and crept in beside us. Isn't that beautiful? Crept in beside us. That's Advent. I want to finish with a final story, again about my family. My mother tells me that she says, you wouldn't have a book if I wasn't in it. And that's true. And as you know, I've written lots of books. Why Bother Praying? Where the Hell is God? What Are We Doing on Earth for Christ's Sake? Now Why God? And my mother says, can we stop asking questions sometime soon and get some answers? Well, let me go to the Holy Family. Because from Christmas to the Feast of the Epiphany, our focus moves to the Holy Family. Now, I don't know about your family, but in my family, no one is a canonized saint, immaculately conceived, or the Son of God. The Holy Family is a really tough act to follow. But we are, however, told to imitate them in the opening prayer in bonds of love. And that went from theory to practice in my life. So I want to finish with a final story to inspire faith and hope by telling you this one. My family is an Irish Catholic family in Australia. They're not very demonstrative. I didn't grow up with my mother saying, love you, darling. We didn't go, love you, mum, love you, dad, love you, sweetie, love you, baby, love you forever, love you, honey. We didn't do any of that. We had a very firm handshake for the men. We had a little peck on the cheek for the women. We weren't big huggers. And so we just didn't do it. I'm not saying it's not the right thing to do. I think it's a great thing to do. But we didn't do it. It wasn't our style at all. But in my Year 12 retreat, a wonderful diocesan priest called Father Ray O'Leary, who ended up living for most of his ministry in Florida, at Our Lady of Hope in Daytona Beach, and died there recently. Ray O'Leary came and gave us our retreat, and he gave us a bit to read out of a book called Why Am I Afraid to Love? And it said, don't leave this world not having told the people that you love them. Because when they're dead, it's too late. And if how you act towards them and speak to them, you show you love them, saying it then should be the easiest thing in the world for a follower of Jesus Christ. Well, I came back from my senior retreat on a mission. I'm going to tell my family that I love them whether they want to hear it or not. My brother was working at a stake. My sister was with Mother Teresa in Calcutta. My father, as you've seen, was dead. That's a very important photograph for our family. That's 2 weeks before my dad died. He was 36, Mum's 32. That's Peter, my oldest brother, Tracy, the one who was the quadriplegic and died. And that's me in that spectacular red and white outfit. I still wear that on occasion. In fact, I was tempted to wear it today. It's held I look stunning in that, really. I really should be a cardinal. It was coming out of me early on. And I sat down and wrote to my brother working interstate, Tracy working in Calcutta, and wrote and said what I'd never said before in my life. Dear Peter, dear Tracy, I just want to tell you something that I have never told you before. I love you. I've never heard back. They have never replied to those letters. That left my mother. I stayed in one Saturday night. Tonight's the night. I'm going to tell Mum that I love her. And she was in our lounge room at home, and she was watching the news at 7 o'clock, the national broadcasting news. And I was in my bedroom. My heart's going boom, 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 boom. My tummy's going churn, 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 churn. I was so nervous about what I was about to do. You'd swear I was about to ask my mother to marry me. But I got my courage up. I said, oh, man up, get out there and do this. Goodness me, it shouldn't be this hard. And I got out there and I said, Mum, I've got something very important to tell you. She didn't take her eyes off the television. Oh, yes, what's that? I said, no, I've never told you this before, and I really do need to tell you this tonight. And she fumbled for the remote and turned off the television and then looked over at me, and she looked panicked. And 20 years later, she said to me, oh, I remember that night like it was last night. I thought you were about to say one of two things. My mother thought I was about to say, Mum, I've got a girl pregnant. Or Mum, I'm gay. And Mum's sitting there saying, whichever one it is, keep calm, keep calm, keep calm. I plucked up my courage, I came straight out with it, and I said, Mum, I just want to tell you, I love you. She thought it was the warm-up act for the big news yet to come. But that was my whole opera. So I looked up and she said, is that it? I said, oh yes, before I died, I wanted to be able to say I told my mother that I love her, and I do, I love you, Mum. And such was her relief, she looked back at me and she said, oh God, I hope so. And turned back on the television. And I went back to my room going, I don't think it was supposed to go like that. There were no swooning violins. We didn't fall into each other's arms. She didn't say, thank God one of you three ingrates has arrived to tell me at long last that I'm lovable. No, that didn't happen. Do you know what did happen? My brother and my sister wrote to my mother and said, we've had these terribly weird letters from him. And apparently my mother wrote back and said, oh, bully for you. I've had the whole thing in person. All I know is that when my mother was looking after my sister, just 6 weeks before Tracy died, Mum would get up at midnight, 3 and 6, as I've told you, and turn my sister. Did it for 27 years. That's love. And on one of those turns, 3 o'clock in the morning, Tracy said, "Thank you, Mum." She would have always said that. And then she said for the very first time, aged 56, or 58, she said, "Mum, I love you." And Mum said, "I love you too, Trace." The next morning at breakfast, Tracy looked at Mum and said, "I don't know what came over at me at 3 o'clock. I was doing a Richard." I don't care what you call it. I just care that we do it. Because if we are loved by God, then we have to love one another. 1 John 1:3. You can say that you love God, but if you hate your brother and sister, we are liars. It's our love for each other is how they will know that we have been loved. What I have discovered in and through of asking why God this or why God that, what actually and truly matters is that we all are people of love. Love of God, love of neighbour, and love for ourselves. I don't think any of this is easy. I just think it's enormous pleasure and privilege and honour to be able to communicate God's love to those we meet in any and every way we can. So given that the poor old Irish, for those of you, every drop in me is Irish, given that a few of you had to put up with my, well, Sister Edith used to think it was a very good Irish accent, but others beg to disagree, I want to leave you with a final blessing, that we might go from here inspired to live our own story. And whenever we ask the question, why God? We know it's all simply about love. May the road rise up to meet you. May the wind be ever at your back. May the sun shine warm upon your face. May the rains fall soft upon your fields. And until we meet again, may God hold you in the hollow of her hand. And until we meet again, may God hold you in the hollow of her hand. Thanks very much.
Father Richard's book is available at Paulus Press if you'd like to purchase it, and he'll be available for signing also. Thank you, Father Richard, for a wonderful morning of amazing grace. We love you. Please remember to complete an evaluation of the workshop. The evaluation information will be emailed to all Congress attendees. Thank you and have a wonderful day.